Good evening and welcome to the City of Sharonville's council meeting. If everyone would please stand, we're going to have a moment of silence and prayer led by Mayor Hardman, and then he will also lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You can all be seated. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tankersley?
Here.
Mr. Wilson?
Here.
Mr. Lippert?
Here.
Mr. Duda?
Here.
Mr. Cook?
Here.
Mrs. Knight? Here. And Mr. Schmidt?
Approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections or additions to the December 15th regular council meeting minutes? Seeing none, those will be approved as written and distributed. We'll go into reports and communication. Mayor Hardman.
So always one of the more enjoyable things to get to do is when we welcome new employees and promote those folks who are working within our ranks. So Chief, would you come on down? So we have two that we are going to recognize. We have to swear them in too. Do we still swear in, right? Yes, sir. Yep, I thought so. So let me come on down here and let's start with Christine. Come on down. He's going to give you a lot. All right, so this is Christine Duhan, right? All right, Christine is one of our full-time firefighter paramedic for us here in Sharonville. She started her fire service in the city of Blue Ash after graduating from Butler Tech Fire Academy in 2018. In summer of 2019, she began employment with us here in the city of Sharonville as a part-time firefighter paramedic. She grew up in Westchester with her parents, sister, and brother, and she enjoys cooking, outdoor activities, and spending time with her family. This is not a dating site, but I don't know. Do you have anybody with you here tonight, Christine?
I do.
Go ahead, tell us who's here.
I have my mom and dad right there, Jean and Susie, and my boyfriend in the back, Ross.
All right. Welcome. COVID stinks, but we're glad you could make it here for this, and we're glad you've got some of your fellow firefighters back here to show their support. So are you ready to get sworn in? Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Christine Duhan, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio, and the city of Sharonville, and that I will honestly and faithfully discharge the duties of the position of firefighter paramedic to which I have been appointed, according to law and to the best of my ability. Congratulations, it's official. Welcome aboard. All right, come here. I think there's probably pictures. Mom, Dad, yeah. Anybody else want to come up here?
To begin it or to take them?
Either one. I'll get it. All right. Red. Ben, I'm sorry, Ben. Ben, come on in. So this is Ben Bird. Ben is our newest lieutenant. So congratulations. Here's a little bit about Ben. He started his fire service career in 2007 with the Sugar Creek Township Fire Department. Where's Sugar Creek Township? In Dayton. Excellent. He's been a firefighter paramedic with us since 2012. He's active in the development of fire training at Sharonville and the Hamilton County Urban Search and Rescue Team. Ben enjoys spending time outdoors with his wife, Sarah, and daughter, Sophia, who I'm assuming are right back there. Is that right? Excellent. Anybody else be tonight? How old is little Sophia back there? Awesome. Enjoy it. It's a great time. All right. You'll raise your right hand. Let's get you sworn in to this new position. It's inside there. I need somebody to take care of it. All right, here we go. I, Ben Berg, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution and laws of the state of Ohio and the city of Sharonville, and that I will honestly and faithfully discharge the duties of the position of lieutenant, to which I have been appointed according to law and to the best of my ability. Congratulations, Ben. All right, picture time. Do you want to come on down and join us, or do you want to take the picture? All right, congratulations, Ben. Thank you all for coming. We're glad to have you all here. So while we are talking about the fire department, I have a letter that was sent to me that again this year there are two $2,500 scholarships that are being awarded from the good men and women from our fire department. So two graduating high school seniors who have planned to attend college or technical school in the fall of 2021. Those are available for you to apply. An application is available at our Sharonville Fire Department main station. So if any of you know of a graduating senior this year who's looking to move forward or want to get that information out, and anybody else watching us through Zoom or otherwise, we invite you to reach out to the Sharonville Fire Department for that scholarship opportunity. Other than that, we've made a couple of new hires this week. One of them is somebody that you know because she's sitting right over. Well, normally she's sitting down there.
She sits here.
So it's my pleasure to let you know. Hopefully, if you haven't heard, Terry Buchheit will be our new assistant clerk of courts, so we're very excited about her taking on that opportunity. She intends to continue to serve as your clerk of council. Ultimately, I expect that probably at your next council meeting, you're going to have some legislation because of human resources, regulations, those kind of things. We'll have to pay her somewhat differently for her clerk of council job than what we currently have set up so that she can also become a full-time employee with us in the clerk of court. So, but we're excited to have her. Ann was promoted to the clerk of courts job, so she'll be serving in that role. We are looking, still actively looking for our public works director position, and We are now without a Public Works Director because Joe is officially now retired. Mike Carlson is going to be filling in with some temporary job responsibilities in the meantime, but we are in the process of interviewing a couple. We have finally gotten some qualified candidates based on the engineering degree that we were looking for as we transition. They've done an initial set of interviews, and we'll be following up with some of them here shortly. Other than that, that is what I have for reporting tonight. And Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome back.
Thank you. While the fire department is here, I do want to say, Chief Mousa, thank you to Station 87. My son had a little issue with his furnace, and they came up and were able to help him out and make sure that there was no CO2 in the house. So very much so appreciated that. So they were wonderful. I only know one of them because I've known him since he was in preschool, Cody Bookman. So Cody and crew were fabulous. So thank you very much for always being there. We're going to move on to our Safety Service Director, Mr. Lucas.
Thank you. Just legislation this evening. Ordinance, we have 6 pieces for council to vote tonight. Ordinance 63E, Ordinance 69E, and Ordinance 70E are all related to the US 42 PATH project. Stephanie Roberts is on Zoom tonight to give a presentation regarding that project. There may be 2 or 3 US 42 property owners either viewing or participating tonight, even though I don't see them.
I don't see anybody.
I don't see them yet. So turn it over to Stephanie.
Stephanie?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you.
All right, I'll go ahead and share screen. Let me go ahead and I might have to have it enabled.
Yes, can you make her a host? Thank you. They're going to make you a co-host.
Okay.
There you go. You should be able to do it now.
All right. All right, so Jim just asked me to, good evening, everyone, first of all. Jim asked me to, talk a little bit about the project. And so as you remember, the Sharonville was awarded funding from OKI through the STBG grant funding in 2019 for the construction of the shared use path connecting running from Reading Road all the way up US 42 to Kemper Road. This path would be a 10-foot wide concrete path running along the road, and it would provide connectivity from the downtown area to the existing path along Kemper Road west of US 42, and then also to the future sidewalk that will run along Kemper Road and connect to the Sharon Woods. And so, this is a kind of an important, I think one of the reasons why it scored so well with OKI is because it does provide that connectivity. It also provides access to the Metro bus route that runs along Kemper Road. It's just kind of an important piece to the Sharonville Comprehensive Plan, the 2030 Comprehensive Plan as well. Just to give you a little summary of the funding that's involved in the project. So the STP funding was about $1.3 million. And then altogether with design and everything, the local portion is about $1.4 million. So not right around a 50-50 split. And just to give you an idea of the layout of the project. So it does kind of just showing it roughly here in red. We'll start at the Reading Road intersection. There is already an existing sidewalk that is south of there that connects to the bridge. And so, it's a little debatable on whether or not that sidewalk will be replaced. So we'll look at that through the course of design and determine if that will occur or not. But it will run up along the east side of US 42, and then it jumps down here to this bottom view and continues along US 42 on the east side of the road up until we get to Park 42 Drive. And then at that intersection of Park 42 Drive, a portion of it will connect to the Sharon Road entrance, Sharon Woods entrance, I apologize. And then the other part will cross over the road to the west side of the road. And then it will continue north from there up to the Kemper Road intersection. And then you can see this little piece right here connects to the Sharon Woods Drive. And then at the important connection piece that's part of this project is that it would, we'd look at increasing these island sizes in the intersection of Kemper Road and US 42 and making crosswalks and making pedestrian crossing at that time. All right, this is just to give you an idea of what that section would look like as it runs up along US 42. So in the areas where we have development, commercial areas and properties, we would keep kind of a minimum section that ODOT will allow us to do. We have to stay at least 5 foot off of the edge of shoulder on the roadway. So we'll have that 5 foot buffer in here that'll be just a grass area, and then the 10-foot shared use path. And then a little bit of a buffer beyond that for no signs or anything can be in this extra 2 foot over here. Now, we have had some preliminary discussions with the Sharon Woods staff and the Great Park staff, and in their area, they would prefer to keep the path a little bit farther away from the road if possible and follow the natural grade of the land. So when we get onto Sharon Woods property, we'll take a look at that, but it's possible that we might, we might go down away from the road a little bit and away from their existing trees and just kind of follow the natural grade of the land without being too far away from the road at that point. But, in areas where we have development, we want to stay as close to the road as we can. And just to give you an idea of schedule, design is expected to begin the end of the month, and some interim dates in here, but the important ones are that right-of-way acquisition would be complete by August of 2023, and construction timing would be kind of spring to fall of 2024. All right. And then if you'd like, we can go through and look at, just kind of take a little bit of a walk through the project. So this is kind of that existing sidewalk area that is along US 42 already. And it would be ideal if we could, kind of give some separation from the road in this area or widen this a little bit to give pedestrians a little more safety in this area. So we definitely will look at that as part of the project. But possibility of putting a bike lane here, it may not be a bike lane at this point. We'll have to evaluate that with ODOT and with the project funding and see what it allows. But it will pick up right here and head north. There's a possibility in this area, in order to minimize impacts, we might be looking at, just kind of adding on to this extra pavement that we've got here and trying to keep it more of a bike lane in this area. Just off the edge of the road instead of having a buffer strip or something like that. So that's something that, we talked over with ODOT, and we'll kind of decide as we get survey information and get going a little bit more. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to interrupt at any time. So this is, kind of keeping in the, I think this is our first park parcel that we'll come across. So we'll probably stay, up near the road until, we might follow the grade down here. I think somewhere in here, we kind of run across some trees. So it might be possible we might go behind trees. It just kind of depends on what the grading will allow us to do. But we'll definitely not be, we're trying not to fill a lot in this area because the park would really like to not fill a bunch and have a lot of grading on their property. So this tree right here would be a good example of one that we might go behind this tree and kind of tuck in behind there. And that'll be good as well from a safety perspective. It'll help give a little separation from the road. Now, right here, we'll get back into commercial property. So this will bring the section right back up to the road again and keep it in tight with the roadway here. And a lot of these areas, we have adequate right-of-way, at least according to GIS information. Now we will have to, that is one of the early things that we'll look at in the project design, making sure that we can fit within the existing right-of-way, or, you know, determine how much right-of-way we will need in order to get the path constructed. But some areas we have adequate right-of-way, so not everywhere though. So we'll stay up by the road in this area, continue up by the road to this office park. And then we get back to park property here. So here we'll kind of go down low with the existing grade of the land, probably as much as possible. And right here is where we will split. Part of the path will come across and continue up the opposite side of the road. And then part of it will continue up to connect to the Sharon Woods Drive. So in this area, we'll be over here by the pond, the existing pond, and we might need a little bit of a handrail or something there to keep some separation from that pond, but we'll deal with that through the course of design. And the path on the east side of the road will end somewhere in here. We'll have to work out with the park district exactly how it will tie into this road, but it'll kind of, this side will end, and then we'll kind of continue over on the west side. Go past the new back entrance to the police station. And continue up through here. And then get up here to the intersection, and we'll have to cross this very complicated intersection. So we're thinking we will make these islands bigger and provide pedestrian refuge within these concrete islands. So people will cross into them, they'll push another button, and then they'll cross over to Zend Lane. And then from there, they will cross Kemper. So kind of same thing here, they'll cross Kemper, they'll get into the island and push another button, and then they'll cross over to the sidewalk. And that's pretty much it. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
There any, Mr. Lippert?
Question for Jim. Was there any response to any of the notifications the city sent out?
Had a voicemail. When I returned that voicemail, it was impossible to leave a voicemail because it wasn't active or something. I believe that person may have been with Sharonville, but he never indicated. And then Park 42 representatives who I thought were going to be on tonight.
And they're still not.
Indicated their general support for the project, had some questions about their detention pond, and then also hoped that we would continue up Kemper to the park entrance on Kemper, and I told them that we have the sidewalk project in place.
Thank you.
And just to clarify, and so everybody up here knows, as well as anybody out there listening knows, we did send certified letters to every property owner that would be affected, that this sidewalk, this shared use path would be on their property, so that they would know the project was there, as I think was your request pursuant to some other stuff that we've done. So there has been notification. And then obviously we also told them about tonight's meeting so that they could also be a part and share any comments that they might with you before we take this next step, hopefully.
Any other questions? Mr. Wilson?
Yes. Just a quick question. Can you, and I guess in a few words, tell us why that we cross the road from the east side to the west side? Why don't we stay on the east side all the way down, or the west side all the way down?
Can you hear him, Stephanie?
Yeah, I got that. One of the reasons that it was done that way, and and that's definitely something we could still try to make sure that we're confident in that decision early on in the design. But one of the reasons for that is because when you do get up closer to Kemper Road, the properties get really close to the road up there. So it's just kind of that last handful of properties. I'm trying to look at the map now, but basically, probably the first 6 or 7 properties up near Kemper Road are really close to the road, and we really kind of ran out of room at that point.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I think from another practical, not necessarily an engineering one, but a practical aspect is it enables us to reach into the businesses of Park 42, as well as our police station. And so it enables the connection there as well. Plus, if you notice the Kemper Road path that is on the west side of 42 is on that side of the road as well. So by going onto the west side there, it connects up with the already existing Kemper Road path that's going westward from 42 over to Mosteller, and then that will hopefully be continuing over a little closer to Kemper.
That makes sense. Thank you.
Stephanie, if you could pull it up, I think that you were talking about who's parking closer to Kemper as well on the other side.
I was having trouble hearing that. It got a little garbly.
The businesses closer to Kemper on the other side will lose parking too, if I remember. If you want to pull that up so council can see that.
Okay.
The barber shop and Watson's and.
The businesses in this area, is that what we're talking about, or? I think
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I still was having a little trouble hearing the question, but yeah. So you start getting into these properties, and there's really just not a lot of room to get a path in there. So it really became problematic, and didn't want to make a huge amount of right-of-way impacts in this area. So the Park 42 being an existing signal seemed like a good place to cross and connect to the existing path on Kemper.
Anybody else? Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, 69 and 70 are also related to this. These are that agreement legislation that's needed for the project. Ordinance 2021-02 deals with our next small business relief grant program.
Good evening. Emergency Ordinance 221-02E establishing a new COVID-19 business relief program. This program is to be funded by appropriations provided in the Emergency Ordinance 2020-57-E from the general fund, with total distributions from this grant to be capped at $200,000. Council may change this cap in the future if they deem a change is appropriate. Specific eligibility changes to the new 2021 COVID-19 business grant versus last year's COVID-19 business grant are the following. Sole proprietorship businesses will now be included. Businesses with up to 50 employees now eligible versus last year it was 25. And then businesses who were not open in 2019 but were open in 2020 will now be included. So those are the big 3 highlights of changes with eligibility. I think there is a copy in the packet of the complete application. With council's approval, these new grant applications will be sent out directly before the end of January to all Sharonville businesses via mail. Hard copy postcard. Additionally, the application will be highly visible on the city's website and the city's social media pages. We're also partnering with Sharonville Chamber to not only add the application link to their website, but to include their database as well to ensure we maximize our exposure. Any questions?
Any questions? Mr. Tankersley?
Jim, for the small businesses, is this a one-time per year, or how's that work? Correct. I believe in this application, our proposal said if you were one of the 15 small businesses that received funding last year, that you would not be eligible for the 2021.
Anyone else? Sue?
When will these businesses start being contacted? Are they just going to have to go in and, are you going to send them an email, or how are they going to be contacted?
So our goal is to get them out. There'll be a postcard that goes out to all the businesses in the mail first. There'll be an email that goes out. And then for any of the 15 respondents from 2020 who did not qualify because of the eligibility reasons will be contacted personally by me. And then last time I went out and brought some media and went to some businesses directly as well. And I'm sure I'll be doing the same this round.
Yeah, I've contacted several of them, ones that did not qualify last year. I told them to have a heads up for it because they could really use it. So I've been spreading the word for you.
That would be great. And I think there's an application in each packet. So feel free to use those if you want to hand out.
Okay.
I can send you those. I'm sorry? Yes, the chamber is going to be hosting the link on their website
That's awesome.
and their database as well, and we'll be promoting that. If they go back to real-time monthly meetings again, they have not been back since November. I spoke with Lois today. They're mentioning that they might be back by March. We'll certainly be presenting to those attendees as well.
Good. Thank you so much for all your work.
Thank you.
Ordinance 2021-03 deals with the purchase of 2198 East Sharon Road, which is the former JW's Sports Cafe. Due to the location right off the highway, how visible the parcel is, as well as the current blighted nature of it, we feel it's important to acquire that piece of property for $350,000. We did an appraisal a year and a half or so ago, and that price is very good compared to the appraisal, which had a higher price for that parcel. And then Ordinance 2021-04E is an appropriation ordinance for that purchase, as well as one other item that Scott will explain.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, there's two items on here, two amounts. The first is the $400,000. That's the lower amount there, or the second amount. There is a piece of information that's missing here. This should say the 401,790. So we either need to ink that in, or I can also print off a direct copy as well. But it should be 401,790. This is going to come out of our capital fund. We have adequate resources there. Previously, we also have, we'll be making an year-end set aside of a fair amount as we plan at the end of the year. That number is rounded up to handle any kind of closing costs. There'll be some small closing costs, and it very well may be able to cover proposed demolition of the site as well. The number above that, the $11,204.99. This was a redistribution of CARES Act funds that Hamilton County sent out last year. We did not catch this to get this on the agenda to appropriate back in December. As many people you're aware, the CARES Act was extended to the end of 2021, so we're able to go ahead and utilize this. We're appropriating this for personnel costs. We'll likely be able to use these dollars to continue the sanitization of the high traffic areas here at City Hall, the tax office, to keep up that. So we were excited to be able to roll that funding into 2021. That worked out well. Any questions about any of those items?
Anyone? Thank you, Scott.
And then last, we're asking for a voice vote. When we did the salary ordinance in front of you last meeting, we, in error, forgot the firefighter paramedics on 40-hour employees. This is simply adding the 2% that they were supposed to get to the salary.
Perfect, thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Lucas? Thank you. I really don't have a report this evening, so we will go on to our Clerk of Council, Mrs. Buhite.
Sorry. All right, public hearing has been set for February 9th at 7 PM in council chambers regarding rezoning of a portion of 3855 Hawk Road. And I'll announce that again next month or next meeting.
Okay. Law Director, Mr. Pete Meyer.
Just, I know Kevin congratulated Eric for the new job, and on behalf of Casey and I in the prosecutor's office, we're not happy about it.
Hear, hear.
She's losing us, and it's a big loss, and but she's a big gain to Sharonville. So normally we applaud that, but we were silently booing here.
Well, we're not. Okay, residents that wish to be heard this evening, I think I have a gentleman in the back that wanted to come up. If you want to give us your name and address. Thank you, please.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Bill Reddick, and we live, along with my wife, we live in 4102 Malaire Drive. And we, as of Christmas, are beginning our 20th year here in Sharonville. This is our first time at a city council meeting, so you guys must have been doing something right these many years. Before I get to the main reason I came here tonight, there's something I would like to encourage Sharonville to do. And that is, for a while, you had a first aid CPR AED course that was, of the 5 different ones that my wife and I have taken, Sharonville's was by far the best. And it was also free, which was an added bonus, although we would be happy to pay for it. So if possible, we would like to see Sharonville reinstate that. Your fire department really did a fine job with that. So anyway, just the real reason I came tonight, and a couple of the members here are already aware of it, but there is an organization called Retail Me Not that once a week goes through the neighborhood with bags of flyers, plastic bags of flyers, and they just fling them out the window of a car, I believe. They wind up kind of all over the place. And a lot of them just become first litter because they may wind up in the street, they may wind up on somebody's driveway, they may wind up anywhere. But quite a few of them don't seem to be of any interest to anybody, and they wind up washing down into the sewer. And I can tell you, I realize that this is a very small part of the problem, but right now we are putting somewhere between 8 and 10 million tons of plastic garbage into our oceans every year. And while Sharonville isn't the main source of it, of course, I think that it's kind of ridiculous for us to allow them to litter the neighborhood with things that people don't want. I can point to one package that they delivered, so to speak, more than a month ago that is still sitting on somebody's lawn. One thing that I do as I exercise, as I walk through the neighborhood, I will move them out of the street and onto people's property just to make sure that they do get picked up. But I think it's about time to pass an ordinance, perhaps, to restrict these things and say that that Retail Me Not and other similar organizations can only deliver them to households that have specifically approved getting them. Because right now it's fairly common for those things just to sit around in the neighborhood for weeks. I have had a little bit of correspondence back and forth with the city, and they recommended that perhaps the homeowners association on our neighborhood might be the proper way to do this. But I have 2 reservations about that. One, I don't believe the homeowners association really has much in the way of teeth that they can put into a regulation banning it. If a company distributing this kind of material decides to ignore it, I'm not sure what the homeowners association can do. whereas the city of Sharonville certainly does have the ability to put some teeth into it. My other reason for wanting the city of Sharonville to do it is that city of Sharonville would do it over a much wider area. So I'd like to see a law structured on the basis of you can only deliver this to a household that has specifically approved it, and then that there be some sort of penalty for those that do not deliver them in a proper manner. That is, if they wind up in the street, then there should be there should be a penalty to that. So anyway, that's pretty much what I'd like to see happen. I don't know if there are questions or other comments, but if no other city has tried to do something like this, I'd certainly like to see Sharonville lead the way.
So, Bill, as I think I said in my response to you, is that we would refer this to our law committee. And I know that they've already had an initial meeting since your emails and are starting up that conversation to see what type of legislation we might be able to take. We're looking at, I know one of the things that I know Mr. Lucas is looking at is, and has already started, is looking at other jurisdictions that might have something akin to what you're discussing. I know that we've recovered at least 2 ordinances and ways they've tried to regulate that. So we're looking at those options. The other piece of it that we have to look at, because we are a government, so we have an obligation to apply the Constitution to the rules and regulations and laws that we do. And so there is an element of speech that's involved in that. So we're looking at that issue as well as what can we regulate? How can we regulate? And so we're looking at, that's part of the reason why we're looking at other jurisdictions and what they might already have in place. We're also, and I think Mr. Schmidt brought it up after their law committee met, I think this topic of conversation might have come up some time ago. And so there was also enforcement of our own litter ordinances and how that could apply to something of this nature as well. So we're looking at all those things. I'll tell you what, I agree with you. I mean, I think you're right. I get those pamphlets sitting in my driveway. Probably everybody up there gets those pamphlets sitting in their driveway. And mine promptly go into, the paper stuff goes in the recycling bin, and the plastic sheathing goes in the garbage, because there's nothing else I can do with it. But before it even goes inside the house, I will tell you that I don't know if there's a delay or what's going on. I will say that in the last month or so, I don't think I've seen them coming to my house. So I don't know if it's changed in your neighborhood at all. If they're
coming on a weekly basis to my neighborhood.
Yeah, they were coming on a weekly basis to mine too. That's why I would say within the last month I haven't seen one. And I don't know why that is. It just was a coincidence, I'm sure. But we are looking at, and we are actively looking at that and what options we have. And we certainly will keep you apprised of that and what our research shows and what we might have the ability to do.
2 other comments. Number 1, the plastic bags that comes in, Kroger will take it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so you can't recycle those things at Kroger. Or if you know somebody that works at the Newport Aquarium, they'll take it over there too. And I want to point out, I'm not some sort of, tree hugger who's out to, my wife and I are retired business owners. We understand what it takes to run a small business, we support the business, but, when something is just becoming an endangerment to wildlife, and I think we have a good reason to do something about it.
Can I follow up on that? Because that's something I didn't know, and maybe I think so Kroger will take any type of plastic of that nature?
Bags, and I think they will take other flat plastic.
Oh,
which is a package over wrap or something like that. Kroger will take that.
Do they? And that's at your local, our local store right up the street.
If you go in there, there's a big barrel there with a hole in it about that big, and you can find the plastic bags and newspapers come in. Just take all those and throw them in there.
And obviously, your Kroger plastic bags, I would assume, is probably why they're there. The main reason, but that's great to know. I wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
And I think the reason they brought up go to your HOA right now is because it is successful in a couple of our communities in Sharonville. I believe Tennyson is one, And I want to say, is it Copperfield, Mr. Wilson? I know you guys have a real stringent,
Yes, if there's one there, I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
But there are definite regulations about soliciting in our neighborhood and putting up signs in our neighborhood. And I don't know if there's anything specific about mailers, but
okay,
I wouldn't be surprised to see if there were.
right.
I suggested it for Mr. Lucas's recommendation, and the homeowners association bounced it right back to you.
And that's fine. I will tell you, there are some people that do use them, of course, but, they did start the conversation, and I was at law committee, and they are working on it.
Okay.
Mr. Cook?
Yeah, question on the plastic. So that like the shrink wrap that comes around a package, Kroger's will take that also.
I believe that's considered flat plastic, and I think Kroger's will take all of that, right? I may be wrong on that.
Okay. And I can check with them too, because I didn't aware, because mine goes out in the garbage, so I have no problem saving it. And then I'm all on board. I understand businesses trying to get their advertisements out. I can tell you my story with that. I guess I had put it down innocently. Then we had a couple inches of snow, take the snow blower, jammed it right up. Took me about 30 minutes to get that thing out. So I'm all for it. And normally I do the same thing as the mayor. I take the paper out, I throw it in the recyclable bin, the plastic goes in the garbage.
Well, see,
Thank you.
I even tried calling retail, called them twice. And the first time I called them, I left my name and I said, look, this becomes a problem. I have to talk about it, and got no response. I did call them the second time and said, look, I'm just walking through the neighborhood these days. I'm picking them up, throwing them away. I thought that might get some attention. It did not. I tried calling Kroger. You want to waste your time? Call Kroger's customer service line. I got a guy who did not speak English as a first language, obviously, and he kept asking me to explain it again in a different way. And after the third time, I finally gave up. So I thought maybe Kroger would be interested in this, not wanting to be creating litter, but making a complaint of Kroger is proven to be impossible. I may try Jungle Jim's next. I don't know what they're any more interested or not.
All right, Ms. Knight?
I noticed, I do look at the door store and mine does go in recycling, but I noticed Myers has taken theirs out and a couple of the other stores. So they're limiting how many ads are in it. So maybe eventually all the stores will just quit it. But,
Full disclosure, we use the Kroger ads that's in there.
right.
I don't mind getting it, but we pick the thing up. But I think the majority of the people either do what Mr. Hardman does and pick it up and run it to the recycle bin, or just leave it there.
Also, the bin that we are referring to is right as you walk in the front door. There's a big, it's not wooden, it's like a cardboard box with a big hole in it, and you can stick that's where I stick all my bags that I don't use, because at Kroger's, for some reason, you get one item in one bag. I mean, I have 400 bags and I got 20 things or something, but yeah, I just collect them every week and throw them in there, so.
Kroger, if you ask to let you use paper bags, because they subsidize them, I can tell you the number of plastic bags that I have seen in the ocean.
No, you're fine, sir. Thank you for coming. We're glad to have you. Thank you. Mr. Schmidt, it is so wonderful to see you this evening.
First thing I want to say, Happy New Year, everybody. I haven't seen you since last year.
I know.
The one comment, I think if I understood him correctly, was that the plastic advertising bag that they throw?
Mm-hmm.
Several years ago, and I live in Copperfield, several years ago, I called that, there's a number on there, and I called, and they said, and I haven't gotten 1 cent. I told them I didn't want it, and I haven't gotten 1 cent. My neighbors get them, but I do not. And I guess I should have said first, my name is Tim Schmidt, 12215 Pickwick Place. I also want to mention that I am part of PFP Enterprises LLC in same address. Got a couple questions on things that were talked about. The crossing of 42, is that planned to, I couldn't understand exactly. Is that crossing basically at Park 42, where the red light already is? Is that what you, okay. The other thing, as far as the property at Sharon, on Sharon Road, where did you say that?
It's the old Pizza Hut.
Okay. Okay. The last time I was here, I brought up about the DORA. I talked to a couple of our clients. They were not informed of any type of meeting, public meeting to talk about it. The one did give me a copy of this email that was sent to them that said it was in force and it was active, and that was all they heard about it. Both of them got that email. The thing is, as far as I know, there's only one participant in the DORA program at this point, and that's La Rosa. The VFW was, they're closed. Al's Bar was, they're closed. The Blue Goose does not participate. I don't know who else. It was mentioned that some of our properties that those people would benefit by having people come down. The two properties that I talked to, they closed before 5 o'clock. They're not even open. So why anybody would want to walk all the way from the Roses and bring a drink all the way down to our property, to me, does not make any sense. The other thing that doesn't make any sense, I don't know how the city can have part of our property put into one of their programs without our permission. Without the permission of the property owner. I don't know how that can happen. We were never told until all of a sudden it was in the newsletter that the city mailed out, and our clients or our tenants gave us a copy of the email that was sent out. I just don't understand how it can be and why it would have to come all the way down here as part of the quote loop. As far as I'm concerned, the loop and what I was always told when it was developed, the loop was basically north of Sharon Road up to Cornell Road. And that was the loop. So, is there any
You want to address it?
answer as far as
I don't think there's any
property or make our property part of it?
I don't think there's any new answer than what we already stated. So Tim, I think the problem exists is that I don't think you quite understand the DORA, okay? And I don't want to, I think Jim or I would be happy to meet with you sometime. We can sit down with you and we can talk to you about what it is and what it does. Because what you're saying it does, which is that it basically allows somebody to do something on your property that you don't want them to do, is not true. Okay, there's nothing that permits, by being in a DORA, doesn't make anybody have to let somebody come onto your property and drink alcohol. Nothing about this does that. It simply says that if there is a business, if there is a property that wishes to be part of the DORA, that wishes to sell a DORA drink, and then if there's another business that wishes to be able to let somebody who has bought a DORA drink to come into their property, whether it be to shop, whether it be to eat a hoagie or eat something because they don't sell liquor themselves, they would have the ability to do that. That's what a DORA does. So, I mean, what I hear you saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I think we heard it the last time you were here on this issue and tonight, is that you believe that the DORA says somebody can come onto your property with the alcohol, and that we permitted that to happen. That is not what a DORA does.
Well, I know that we can tell them, no, you have to leave. But
Well, they don't have to accept it at all.
I'm sorry?
Anthenians can say, we don't want to be a part of this, and then no one can bring alcohol in there, and they won't be advertised as it, nothing. However, if Anthenians decides, hey, this is a great deal on a Friday, Saturday night, we want to open up late and serve our great food and maybe even have picnic tables outside, they can do that and people can walk down with their beer and purchase their food. That's the positive part. The also positive part about it is, I was just in Milford a couple weeks ago. They have a Dora. They don't have a lot of places selling the alcohol, but they have a lot of businesses that people were in there with their Dora cup shopping because they could get the beer and walk around. And that's what it was doing. It was bringing people into their community.
Well, as I said, the Athenian closes Monday through Friday at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
So they're not open at 5. They're not open at all on the weekends, on Saturday. So, and as a property owner, I say, I don't want to be part of Dora.
Then they're renting from you and they can't be part of it. I'm just
Well,
saying that if,
that's
even
what
if
I'm saying, but
Anthenians
the
left,
city has signs there saying that we're part of it.
I don't think, I haven't seen the sign,
If
so I
they
don't know.
do, it's because the person that's renting that property from you is saying, I want to do this.
They told me they did.
So
I think he's talking about the boundary sign.
Boundary signs is just where you can't go past that point.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
So
not
what-
saying you can go on your property. It's saying this is the end of it. This is where it stops.
But someone can walk down the sidewalk with a Dora.
Okay.
But that sidewalk is not your property. That sidewalk is right of way that we own as a city of Sharonville. So we've made the determination that we think it's beneficial to the economic development of our downtown area, which does include those, we calculated and determined that made sense to include these areas in that.
They don't,
It's beneficial to our economic development to have this.
if they're closed, how are they going to benefit?
Well, this gives them an option. They can reevaluate their business and maybe, I mean, already did. Vicky Reddy reevaluated. Now during COVID, they have not had their alcohol sales and things like that after 3, but she could. And with their new outside patio and everything like that, that's a perfect spot to go and have dinner and a drink. And if you want to walk around, if shops do come into Sharonville and you can go shopping or go look at art down at the art center or whatever, you can take your beer with you.
Yeah.
That's what it's saying.
Well, part of to put picnic tables outside, and they did put a couple round tables out when the virus really started so that they could serve people outside. But there's really not room to put picnic tables and stuff out there. Take their parking, then they don't have, I mean, parking is a problem. Well, not really a problem, but it's close when they're busy and when the other businesses.
That was just a suggestion. They've got room inside if people want to go.
I know up at the Blue Goose, they got big picnic tables out front, taking up over half of the sidewalk. Nobody's sitting there, of course, at this time.
Right.
So, I don't know. That's just my concern. I think we should have been involved when it was passed, and we were not. What's that?
We did, I thought we did. We had a public hearing on this.
We were never informed of the public hearing, and the 2 tenants were never, they tell me they were never informed.
I don't know how that was pushed out
I don't know.
to our.
I mean, I do get emails from Mr. Lucas occasionally, and I do get letters from the city saying that this van is parked on the property and they think it shouldn't be there. But I never, ever got any notification of this public hearing.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to be heard this evening? Seeing none, we'll go on to our council committees. Community Development, Mr. Tankersley.
No report.
Community Services, Mr. Lipper.
Thank you. We met on January 6th. Amongst other things, we had a representative from Metropolitan Sewer District, Greater Cincinnati, And they were asking us to come to a decision on a Kemper Road project that they are doing. City of Sharonville is not doing this project. However, they wanted some input from our committee on whether or not to proceed with some sewer installation project stuff by going into the roadway and shutting down a portion of the roadway for a number of months, making it a 1-lane instead of a 2-lane roadway, or going into people's front yards. The consensus of all the committee members was that the better option was to go into the roadway. We kind of put a pin in that as far as asking Mr. Lucas to send out some communication to the affected property owners and see if anybody had any objection to us going that way. But that was our consensus. If anybody feels differently, reach out to myself or one of the other committee members. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our budget and finance. Mr. Cook?
Thank you. No report for Budget and Finance. For Project Oversight Committee, our next meeting will be February 23rd at 6 p.m. in council chambers. Thank you.
Perfect, thank you. Honored citizens, Mrs. Knight?
Yes, this meeting, I'm going to honor all the Sharonville students, whether they go to St. Mike's or the high school, or if they live in Sharonville and they're a student, for all the virtual learning that they're having to put up with. And I think they're all doing a great job. I've heard a lot of good things, even though I don't have any in school right now. I've heard a lot of parents positive, trying to keep the kids active. So this meeting, I'm honoring all the Sharonville students.
That's wonderful. I got to teach 3 days last week, virtual learning at my house, and I had 2 grandkids that were doing gym, art, and music at 9 a.m. And it was quite a sight to behold. So yes, the kids and the teachers are adapting very well. So thank you. Law and Public Safety, Mr. Schmidt.
Thank you. The next Law and Public Safety Committee meeting will be Tuesday, the 19th at 4 o'clock here in the council chambers. Thank you.
Thank you. Rule suspension motions, first and only reading with immediate effectivity. Ordinance 2020-63E, 2020-69E, 2020-70E, 2021-02E, 2021-03E, 2021-04E. Is there a motion to suspend the rules on these? So moved by Mr. Cook, second by Mrs. Knight. All those in favor, yes? Yes. Those opposed, no. And that motion does carry. Thank you. Unfinished business.
Second and third reading of Ordinance 2020-63E, authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with CT Consultants, Inc. for the engineering and design for the US 42 Shared Use Path Project and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2020-63E? So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mr. Lippert. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Judah?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes,
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-63E has been approved. Second reading of ordinance 2020-64, adopting the recommendation of the Sharonville Planning Commission to accept dedication of public right-of-way on Lebanon Road. Second reading of ordinance 29, is that 2020-66? 2020-66. Second reading, authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract to purchase highway rock salt for the 2021 and 2022 winter season to replenish the city's salt inventory. Second reading of ordinance 2020-67, authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract to install new garage doors for the Public Works Garage. Second reading of ordinance 2020-68, authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract for the replacement of the roofs for the 3 Golden View Acres buildings. Second and third reading of Emergency Ordinance 2020-69E. An ordinance authorizing preliminary legislation, participatory as required by ODOT for Sharonville to participate in the construction of a shared use path along US 42 from Reading Road to East Kemper Road with a connection to Sharon Woods.
Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2020-69E? So moved by Mr. Cook, second by Mrs. Knight. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Duda?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Okay, emergency ordinance 2020-69E has been approved. Second and third reading of emergency ordinance 2020-70E. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a federal ODOT LET project agreement with ODOT and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2020-70E? So moved by Mr. Wilson, second by Mr. Lippert. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Duda?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Emergency ordinance 2020-70E has been approved. All right, new business? All right. First reading of ordinance 2021-01, rezoning property located at 3855 Hawk Road, auditor parcel number 608-0028-0023 from general business to public facilities. A first and only reading of emergency ordinance 2021-02E, establishing a 2021 COVID-19 small business relief grant program.
Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2021-02E? So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mr. Duda. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Duda?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Emergency ordinance 2021-02E has been approved. First and only reading of emergency ordinance 2021-03E, authorizing the Safety Service Director to execute any necessary documents and ratifying any previously executed documents for the purchase of real property located at 2198 East Sharon Road. Auditor parcel numbers 608-0015-0188 and 608-0015-0210 and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2021-03E? So moved by Mr. Lippert, second by Mr. Cook. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Duda?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Emergency ordinance 2021-03E has been approved. First and only reading of ordinance 2021-04E, amending 2021 appropriations for various funds.
Is there a motion to pass ordinance 2021-04E? So moved by Mrs. Knight, second by Mr. Schmidt. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Mr. Tankersley?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mr. Duda?
Yes.
Mr. Cook?
Yes.
Mrs. Knight?
Yes.
And Mr. Schmidt?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-04E has been approved.
And we have been asked to do a voice vote amending ordinance 2020-54 to add the new salaries for the fireman paramedic. Is there a motion to accept this and change that? So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mrs. Knight. Is there any discussion on it? Everybody saw it on their back page, correct? Okay. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, yes?
Yes.
All those opposed, no, and that motion carries. Another opportunity for residents to be heard. You know what, I didn't, nope, nobody's out there. Any other matters to be heard this evening? Mr. Cunningham? You just wanted to talk tonight, didn't you?
Something exciting to talk about.
Yay!
So I visited Third Eye on Saturday, and they had a little celebration there. And wasn't highly advertised. They were celebrating for a good reason. I know the city of Sharonville, we did a lot for them to get started, and they wanted me to tell you what happened. So they visited the U.S. Open Beer Championship, and they took home a gold, silver, and bronze, which is rare for a brewery that hasn't been open for a year. That's nationwide.
That's awesome.
They also took their beer to Ohio Craft Brewers Cup, which they got a gold. So they got 2 golds, a silver, and 2 bronzes. But the kicker is they got Best of Show, all of Ohio, for one of their beers. They got Best Nano Brewery in all of Ohio. And the best one is they got Best Southwest Brewery, all sizes. So if you think about all the breweries in town, they beat them all. So I told them I would share this. I think they're doing.
That is awesome.
The bargain up. And so,
Yes.
They're doing a nice job. So that's it.
Thank you very much.
I'm taking 3 samples. And I'm pretty sure, I know I've seen it in my Facebook feed, and I know I've seen it both from them, but I'm pretty sure that we've shared that to our Sharonville community as well through our own Facebook site. I think even I enjoy some of the beer over there, and I'm not a beer drinker, so I think it's a great addition. I saw something else today about them just to kind of show how well things are going over at Third Eye and the benefit they've done. They opened up they tried a new event. It's a beer tasting dinner. So it pairs a different beer with a 4-course meal. Sold out like in record time for them, I think. So
did you get my ticket?
So, it's just another example of, I think, what Ed said, which is we've got a really great partner that is really doing great work and helping us further that Northern Lights District, and it's exactly what we wanted. So thank you for that, bringing that to our attention.
That's
Dad. I think
great.
you're absolutely right.
Maybe you can give them a proclamation or something. Make it a Third Eye Day. Hey, yes. I like the way you think. Mr. Cook.
I know I've said this before, but if you go there, do they still have the French fries with the meat and the sauce? The best French fries I have ever had. Like, you have got to get those. Thank you.
There is someone on. Would you like to speak this evening? Last name is Steed. If you would, can you raise your hand? Not doing it, so I guess I don't want to speak. All right, Mr. Schmidt.
But just comment on Mark and Casey's loss of Mrs. Puhite. I sent her an email not too long ago, and I wanted to know who taught her communication skills, because she has a very unique and really excellent talent to take long conversations and condense them down into 1 or 2 meaningful sentences. When you read the minutes of our council meetings, you really appreciate what a gift she has and what a wonderful job she does. And now you can't go anywhere. You can't leave this job. And Mark and Casey, better luck, but we don't want to.
Could have treated her better down there, boys.
No, it is, you really read the council minutes and what a professional job they are.
Way to go, Mark.
He trained her well.
No, that definitely, come on, let's not give credit. Let's give credit.
Mr. Tankersley?
I got one quick note. Hopefully everybody got the email that I sent with a copy of the thank you card from Kathy Brady, who retired at the end of December. She was a dispatcher for the police department. She just wanted to thank everybody in council for the support over the years, and along with the
police department personnel also. So I just want to make sure I touch base with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why. Most of your emails go to my spam, so I have to always go searching. I don't know why. Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I just would like to throw in, well, I'm sorry, did I jump on somebody?
No,
No,
you're
I
fine.
walk on, okay. Throw in 2 cents worth about COVID vaccines in Ohio and Hamilton County in particular. For those of you that are interested in getting a vaccine, I don't know how much research you've done, but you can sign up through the Hamilton County Board of Health. On their site, you can register to get a vaccine. Having said that, it also shows when the next, I guess, wave of shots are expected to be taken. I'm extremely disappointed in the state of Ohio and in Hamilton County because I thought we were way ahead of things when I looked at what we were doing early on compared to other states. And the second part of the first wave, now they're saying that they're predicting that's going to start the 1st of March. I find that unacceptable. Ohio, Florida, state of Florida started giving vaccines to the general population, 65 and older, on December the 27th. Last week, the state of Tennessee started giving vaccination to population 65 and over in the state of Tennessee. I haven't looked at other states. I just saw those on the news. And to think that we are going to come in somewhere around 8 weeks later than Tennessee and Florida really bothers me. I don't think we're doing a good job of getting the news out. If you ask your doctor, if you ask your healthcare provider, they can't tell you when it's going to come out. They just know who's supposed to be in the next wave. And each week we listen for our governor to give us the plan as we move forward. And so far, all we've heard is who's next, not when, not how. And so it's frustrating to me. And I think that we are way behind states that I'm thinking that we should be way ahead of. We should be on the forefront of this. We are not. And with thousands of people contracting it every day and hundreds of people dying every day, and the importance of getting this next wave of shots, which will include educators and creating a safe environment in schools for students to return back full-time face-to-face, I think is neglect of our youth and their education. And I find it very unacceptable to me and extremely disappointing. But if you do want to register to get a vaccination, whenever that might be, you can go to the website at Hamilton County Board of Health. There are no other sites that I've found, although I search daily, there are no other sites that I've found where you can register for vaccination.
Mr. Mayor?
Just not necessarily on that topic, because I can't really discuss it knowledgeably as you have shared. But I will say that we are doing our part to assist Hamilton County Hamilton County Health Department with regard to distributing the vaccines whenever they decide who's going to get them and when, and that they are going to be using our convention center for the distribution of some of those vaccines. That starts when, Jim?
It starts tomorrow for first responders and healthcare workers, and I know that they've been frustrated with lack of supply and hoping to schedule more.
So we're expecting that as the group of individuals who can be vaccinated expands and the inventory that's available to do that, that having our resources available at the convention center, which are now underutilized, obviously, that we'll be able to provide them at least the venue to get to a number of individuals in a larger venue at a more steady pace. So we've made those services available, and Hamilton County Board of Health have taken us up on that.
Well, I certainly feel good that Sharonville's doing their part. We're doing our part.
Mrs. Knight?
just on an up note, my mother will be 91 on Monday. She's been a citizen of Sharonville since 1960. She did survive the Covet. She's doing great. She's living alone again at her house. So I just thought I'd give her a shout out. Good old mom.
Perfect. Thank
And
you.
she was the original owners of the root beer stand. So that's how long she's been here. Thank you.
Happy birthday to mom. Anyone else this evening? All right, is there a motion? Is there a motion for adjournment? So moved by Mr. Tankersley, second by Mr. Lippert. All those in favor, yes. Those opposed, no, and we do stand adjourned.